Okay, so for our project, we're going to talk about the water crisis in Eritrea. And so to start, we just want to give some background. So Eritrea is obviously a Northeast African country that's located on the Red Sea. And as we know, that Eritrea struggled with a 30-year independence struggle and war with Ethiopia, and the war was from 1998 to 2000. And as a result of this war, there's still more than 70,000 internally displaced people, and all these people struggle with difficult living situations in terms of tents, fuel, water. And there's also a history of drought in Eritrea, which depletes the coping mechanisms of the population and increases the number of people that live below the poverty line. Another important thing to note is that agriculture is the biggest source of employment for Eritrea, which is about 80% of the citizens of Eritrea work in agriculture, which adds to increased levels of poverty, but also is affected by drought. And the more drought, the less agriculture and farming that can happen. And another interesting thing to note to understand this is that 22,700 children under the age of 5 suffer from malnutrition, which is basically to understand that half of the country doesn't have access to clean water, which is why this crisis is so important. In fact, there's only 16 to 20 inches of rainfall annually. And then just a couple of basic facts of Eritrea to really understand is to know that there is a total of 2,564 villages in Eritrea, and then as of 2020, there are 6.081 million residents in Eritrea. So now we're going to continue and talk about how we believe in solving this water crisis.
Other issues. Some other issues the Eritrean people are facing are government oppression, war and struggle, and poverty and a lack of basic needs. Since 1993, Eritrea has been under the rule of President Isaias Afewerki, who came to power through no election, as he just took the position of president. Those opposing Afewerki have been arrested and held in detention in the past, and the government has forced indefinite military conscription and labor to many men in Eritrea. There's also a lack of freedom outside of the 4 recognized denominations. War and struggle has also been an issue especially since 1998 in war with Ethiopia for Eritrean independence. And many Eritreans still live in refugee camps or have been displaced from their homes. Men are often forced into military conscription due to the losses from the war. Moving on to poverty and lack of basic needs. More than half the country does not have access to clean water, and most of it lives in poverty. And due to droughts and lack of rainfall, agriculture, which is its main job, struggles. Contacts. Over the course of this semester, we've contacted multiple organizations in Eritrea, trying to speak with someone to give us a first-person perspective. We contacted Asmara University as well as the U.S. Embassy in Eritrea. Halfway through this semester, one of our group members happened to meet someone from Eritrea in an Uber ride and was able to ask him a few questions. So from what we got from these questions was he was a 26-year-old who had moved here with his father from Eritrea after fleeing the country. He had not seen his mother in 9 years because they were not able to go back. This gave us a small glimpse into some of the struggles the people of Eritrea are facing, as well as the oppressive government.
We are focusing on Bigu Valley, which is a small agricultural village in our country. The villages near the area tend to lead a simple and agricultural life, and the geographical makeup of the village makes it really great and suitable for the construction of sand dams. And also, it's located approximately 100 kilometers from the capital, Asmara.
The issue of water scarcity in Eritrea stems mainly from the frequent droughts that occur. Eritrea has struggled with consistent droughts since the early 2000s caused by uneven, erratic, and unreliable rainfall. Months can pass without rainfall. These episodes are frequent and recurrent. Droughts result in food shortages and increased rates of malnourishment. As a result, nearly 22,700 children under the age of 5 suffer from malnourishment in Eritrea. In addition to droughts, Cultural superstitions hinder many Eritreans from collecting clean water, washing their hands, and disposing of animal products properly. Many believe that evil spirits attach themselves to certain animal parts, while other customs prohibit the use of latrines during certain hours of the day. Not only is there a shortage of water, but a shortage of clean water. As of 2015, only 48.6% of the rural population had access to improved water sources. This means that many Eritreans are forced to drink from the same water source as animals. Sewage systems in Eritrea exacerbate this issue by contaminating water sources that would otherwise be feasible options. As of 2020, 80.7% of Eritreans lacked basic water services. Water scarcity in Eritrea is clearly a major problem that must be addressed in some form or another.
So for the next slide, we're going to talk about some solutions that have been attempted to help solve this water crisis. So first, there was the Water for Eritrea project, which was a project for a village in the village in Bigu Valley, which constructed sand storage dams to ensure safe and sustainable water supply. So with this, there was an 8-meter high dam, which pretty much allowed for a year-long water supply for the village, and this lasted from like 2017 to 2019. And with this, there was a necessary reconditioning of boreholes, which were like water wells, and that had screens that prevented contaminants from getting into the safe water. So there was this attempted solution, but it did not really keep in Eritrea. And then there was also an idea of the installation of solar water pumps and public tap water stands, which pumped water from the boreholes to reservoirs that became more accessible throughout the village. Obviously, with this, there was financial costs, but also that water and sanitation hygiene training would be necessary so that everyone in the village could maintain these solutions. And so our group came up with a different solution, which was a sand storage dam and water filtration system that we're going to continue to explain, but we kind of think that this solution is the best of both worlds and kind of combines these and overall is the most cost efficient and productive solution to solving this crisis.
Sand dams provide an affordable option with limited materials that can even be constructed by community members to reduce labor costs. All that is required are sand, stones, cement, barbed wire, steel bars, and wood shuttering. Looking at a similar sand dam constructed in Kenya, the total cost for materials and labor amounted to around $7,500, which can be used to estimate the cost for constructing a comparable sand dam in Eritrea.
Here we have a diagram showing how this prototype works. So firstly, we will have wooden shutters that are placed across the dam and are filled with cement to form this concrete wall. And then steel bars will be drilled into the base, and there will be barbed wire wrapped around each layer for reinforcement. And as water flows in, the silt in the water flows over the dam, and eventually the water flowing downstream is retained behind the wall, and the sand in the water will sink to the bottom.
Desired result in water accessibility. So post-construction of the sand dam, sand would need to collect over a few rainy seasons in order to build up the riverbed and the upstream side of the dam. And after this, digging a well within 3 to 10 meters of the dam on the upstream side and installing a hand pump will provide the village access to the clean groundwater that's collected. By covering it or by installing a pump, the covered well protects from contamination from animals, and is estimated to cost around $8,000, including labor and materials. This is a little more expensive, but in the long run, it increases accessibility of the water and the quality as it protects it from contamination.